Coalition for Life of Iowa, it's been revealed, applied for their tax-exempt status. They went through 10 months of interrogation about the group's opposition to Planned Parenthood, including a demand from the IRS. Now listen to this. The IRS Cincinnati office demanded that all the board members sign a sworn declaration that they would not picket or protest in front of a Planned Parenthood before they could get their tax-exempt status.
Oh, my.
The IRS also demanded detailed information about the content of the group's prayer meetings, seminars, and the signs that they hold outside Planned Parenthood. They want to know the content of your prayers.
In other words, what are you praying? What are you saying?
What are you praying
for? What are you praying for? What you
Right.
What you praying?
Praying for an end to abortion?
Whoa.
Right. Praying for the closing of Planned
I
Parenthood.
tell you what, somebody comes to us with a demand like that, we throw that IRS tax exemption out the window so fast, it'll be faster than lightning.
Well, Father Frank has always said that we would get rid of our tax-exempt status before we would succumb
Well, you
to
could
any
say the word.
junk.
But you know what I think? See, I'm thinking everybody's being too nice. We need to throw that person under the jail. Because that person not only going against the United States Constitution, they're coming after you.
Right.
And this is not a nation where we got an imperial president.
That's right.
Who is already trying to bless Planned Parenthood and trying to do these things. When somebody come at us, it's time for Christians to stand up and say, no, you need to be in jail, not me. You need to go to jail.
Because they're tired.
I mean, we need to start demanding it.
Yeah. This is Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, the Nazis didn't do anything that these people aren't doing
to us now.
Right.
And you know what? You think of the word tyrannical, and John Paul II comes to my mind because in the Gospel of Life, as you know, he says that a government that authorizes the killing of innocent babies is a tyrannical state. So if you've already done the worst thing, which is legalizing abortion, this stuff is small potatoes for them.
This is
minor. Like, well, what do you expect? Right?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Even if Obama didn't directly know what was going on with the IRS, he
But he
created
did.
the culture. I think that will be
He created
determined.
the environment for
And
them
the
to do
people who
it.
were hired were people who thought just like him, Planned Parenthood supporters. And I agree that we shouldn't just let this slide. We should demand justice and demand further investigations of this.
Well, again, they don't like the comparisons, but you tell me, what did Richard Nixon do that was any worse than this?
Right.
Any worse than the stuff that we're, because back I went through that. I mean, I'm old enough to have lived through that period, and I can tell you that the argument was he's shredding the Constitution. The country cannot survive if you have the President of the United States who is this hostile toward the Constitution of the United States. The country can't survive.
Right.
Well,
we got one now. He's doing stuff that Nixon never even dreamed of.
Never could have dreamed about, because Nixon knew he couldn't get away with it because the press wouldn't have covered up for him.
Right.
And I'll tell you where Obama has really screwed up, and that is going after the Associated Press.
Yeah.
Because if he had not done that, they would have been willing to let all these other things just go away. But now he's poked his finger in their eye, and they're mad, and so now they're all of a sudden, we're upset about all these other constitutional infringements, all of a sudden.
Because it's now about them.
But you know something? we can't stop with just saying we as organizations have to worry about this. But the Life Talk audience, to me, they need to contact their congressmen, their senators, talk about these things, send letters, send emails, make phone calls, not to Washington, but in your home district office and say, what are you going to do about this injustice? Because very often we just sit back and go, isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? Well, what can we do? We don't make contact enough with our representatives. And it doesn't matter whether they're pro-life or pro-abortion. You're a voter in their district, and you have to look ahead. There's the 2014 elections. A lot of people are going to be up for re-election. And now's the time to apply the pressure and tell them, we're unhappy with this situation. Yes. What are you going to do for us? What are you going to do about this?
And we're demanding it. We're not asking it.
We're not asking. This is a demand. You want my vote? Then you better do something, and do it quick.
Something pragmatic.
That's one thing you've always said, Mark, that people really need to break away from. Everybody say, yes, we really need to change Congress, except for my representative.
Right.
Right.
We need to get away from that, except for my representative.
Right.
We've got to admit it. If this whole thing is bad and this mess is going on and the representative is not working right, somewhere the very representative that you and I love so much is a part of this problem.
Need to clean house.
And need to clean house. Clean house means you let them go too.
Right.
And those of you who live in New York, where I'm from, stop making the excuse like, in New York, we can never get anywhere. Because we do elect, there are only a few, pro-life representatives. So the point is, you got to hold the line, and you got to complain and vote correctly and do something about it. You just can't throw up your hands and say, "Oh well, we're not going to get anywhere."
Right. You know, and what you're talking about, Johnny, is my view has always been that the American people look out here and they say Congress is crooked, but at least he's my crook. This guy's my crook. You know, so he's okay. And you know, we went through that here in this area with Jim Wright. I mean, was anybody ever more crooked than this guy? You know, he became Speaker of the House, and it was obvious that he was a crook. The country eventually figured that out. But I grew up in Fort Worth, where his district is, and I can tell you, everybody in Fort Worth knew he was a crook.
Yeah.
But he was our crook. Wow. So, you know, he brought the bacon home to Tarrant County, Texas.
There you go.
And so they kept reelecting him, and they knew he was crooked, and they didn't care. Wow. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I talked about that here on this show back during the Clinton administration. Everybody was whining and complaining about Bill Clinton. I said, the problem is not Bill Clinton. There's always been Bill Clintons, and there will always be Bill Clintons.
Right.
The problem is we didn't used to make him president.
Yep.
The problem is the people who voted for him twice
Yep.
and voted for Barack Obama twice.